for clues to the beginnings of mankind, the group finds a structure on the faraway moon, but before long realize they are not alone. After an arrangement of dark clues, skilled paleologist Dr. Elizabeth Shaw and her accomplice Charlie Holloway set out on a yearning logical undertaking into space with a team of 17 individuals. On board the spearheading USCSS Prometheus shuttle, the group entered the rough landscape of the deserted Examond LV-223 in 2093 to examine the nearness of a supernatural outsider species known as the Engineers. Exterior, in any case, numerous riddles anticipate the secretive and perplexing development of dull cavernous rooms and complicated underground burrow frameworks. Presently, a frightening disclosure debilitates not as it were the result of this brave space mission, but to the end of humankind. Does the world get ready answers to principal questions almost human existence? Millions of years ago, the shuttles of an advanced non-human race landed on a primitive planet, perhaps on its surface. One of the mavericks released a cloudy liquid and fell into a nearby waterfall. We see DNA break down and recombine, giving us the building blocks of life on Earth. In 2089, on the Isle of Skye off the coast of Scotland, paleontologist couple Elizabeth Shaw, Numi Rapace, and boyfriend Charlie Holloway, Logan Marshall Green, discover the silhouette of a star in a cave. And its ruins. I found it in there are some other unresolved ancient societies. They interpret this as welcoming the pioneers of humanity. Kleiner Wayland, Pierce Fellow, the former founder and CEO of the Wayland Foundation, plans to build a groundbreaking space probe called the USS Prometheus, which will be light years from the ground. It is scheduled to go to the distant satellite LV-223, which is another year. The fleet hibernates and travels at the speed of light, while the robot David, Michael Fassbender, watches over the Mission Control Center and oversees the entire voyage. In 2093, the machine teleports to a circle around its LV-223. Note. First, Ridley Scott confirmed live on BBC Radio 5 on Friday, June 1 that the planet is not the same planet that appeared in the 1979 film The Outsider but is located in a neighboring part of the universe. Outsiders play LV-426. Rising from hibernation, the group is on a mission to discover ancient aliens known as Engineers, who may have built humanity. They also saw a hologram message from Way Rand himself, telling him about funding a mission he later abandoned. Wayland also tells everyone that Charlie and Elizabeth are on a mission. Prometheus entered the planet's climate and experienced chaos, but the chaos disappeared when he penetrated the cloud cover and saw the surface. Prometheus lands near an outer building, behind a vast temple-like pyramid, and a team including Shaw, Holloway, and David investigate it while Vickers and Captain Yannick, Idris Elba, board. It remains to follow their evolution. Team leader Meredith Vickers, Charlize Theron, orders them to avoid coordinating communications and to return if individuals are found not to comply. Inside the pyramid are beautiful records of the debates. In a damp room opened by David, they find hundreds of cylindrical relics, snake statues with human heads, and the corpse of an alien monster, believed to be one of the Engineers. Other bodies were later discovered in the structure and the species is considered extinct. Monster outsider thought to be one of the Engineers. Other bodies are afterward found within the structure, and the species is assumed to be terminated. They view document film of holographic engineers running down the passages responding to a long-ago crisis. Two of note, alien engineers wore the same biomechanical spacesuits as the dead alien, Space Maneuver, wore in the crashed spaceship in the original Alien movie, thus identifying claim that their connection is one and the same alien species. David stealthily returns one barrel to the sender, while the rest of the barrel in the chamber begins to overflow with a dull liquid, triggered by temperature or environmental changes when the chamber is opened. A rapidly approaching storm pushes the group back to Prometheus, knocking out team members Milburn, Rafe Spall, and Fifield, Sean Harris, trapped in the pyramid structure after getting lost while trying to hide. Exit. Find the exit. Shaw asked them to bring the engineer's head back to the vehicle, and they almost didn't come back alive, with David saving the couple when they were kicked off the crowded stage. In the dispatch, Shaw and Surgeon Passage, Kate Dickey, analyzed the engineer's head, evacuating the fallen helmet with David's offer of help. They discovered that his DNA was indistinguishable from human DNA. Using an electric needle, they quickly brought the head back to life. Either way, exposure to the respiratory environment causes an amnesiac engineer's head to rapidly decompose and crumble. David then explored the barrel and found several blisters containing a viscous black liquid. The Prometheus group talks about the meaning of life. The robot David wonders why he was created by humans, and Shaw questions his existence as he is infertile and unable to create life. David intentionally contaminates Holloway with a substance he found inside the vial, drops it into a drop of liquid on his finger, and briefly dips it into the champagne Holloway drank to celebrate his revelation. Surname. Later, Shaw and the infected Holloway had sex. Then Holloway looked at the reflection and saw that his eyes had changed, they had rheumatism, and he saw a little silver worm-like creature growing out of one of his corneas. Back inside the structure, Fifield and Milburn see an interesting snake-like creature emerging from a pool of dark liquid flowing from the barrels. When Milburn tried to look at the creature, it quickly ripped off her arm and wrapped itself around her arm, snapping at it for a few seconds. As Fifield tries to cut it, a destructive liquid, yellow acidic blood, from one of these creatures softens Fifield's helmet, exposing him to the dark liquid oozing from the creatures. That object. Cylinder. The animal then put on the costume and buried itself in its throat. The next morning, after the storm had passed, Team Prometheus returned to the structure and found Milburn's body. David finds a room containing a stagnant living design, and the outline of the three-dimensional star highlights some of the distant planetary frames. He observed that the 3D images of the engineers used the navigation pane. One of the planets that will definitely appear is the ground. Suddenly, the system stopped working, throwing the image of the Earth behind. David found a unique design in an adjoining prison block and could hear its heartbeat. Holloway's illness quickly ravaged his body and he was sent back for transport. While he was certainly breaking down, Vickers refused to let him on board, citing separate conventions. When he approached Vickers, asking her to assassinate him, she burned him to death with a flamethrower. Shaw was crushed. A rehabilitation examination revealed that Shaw, although infertile, was pregnant. David strangled her while arranging to return her face down to the ground. He accepted the cross given to him by his father on the grounds that it might have been contaminated. She escaped and, while conscious, had the brutal cephalopod removed from her womb using automated medical surgery at the Vickers mansion. Wei Rand gets stuck in traffic and Vickers is revealed to be his daughter. Wei Rand made it clear to the show that he's serious about learning about engineers in order to strategically distance himself from his impending doom. Just outside a typical miniature area, a modified Fifield is found attacking and killing several crew members who recently committed suicide. Yennek speculates that the moon they were on was being used as a military base by the engineers until they lost control of the organic weapons, specifically the barrels and black liquid they were using. Include. The rest of the group returns to the building and teases the engineer, whose possession turns out to be a spaceship, the same blueprint as the abandoned alien space shuttle in The Outsider, 1979. David, who speaks in a dialect alien to design, asks why mankind was created and pleads for the life of the plaintiff, Mr. Wayland. The design responded by beheading him and massacring Wei Rand and Ford. The show deviated from the overseas message sent by the design company. David, who is still active, suggests that the structure could cause a black foam of liquid to spill to the ground, which would kill all living animals on Earth. Vickers orders Yennek to return to the ground, but Shaw persuades him to stop transporting engineers. Yannick and the two surviving crew members took off under the control of the engineer and crashed into the Prometheus, while Vickers escaped in an escape unit. A disabled build transporter crashes into the planet, crashing into Vickers and crushing him. Shaw narrowly escaped being crushed to death. Shaw comes to the escape unit for supplies and discovers that his aborted but still living alien brother has grown into a huge treasure. Build survived the crash and went into a runaway incident, attacking Shaw, who eliminated the tentacle beast. He strangled Bill by shoving his fallopian tubes down his throat. Shaw accepts that he is stranded on Earth until he is contacted by David, who tells him that there are more engineer ships than anywhere else on Earth. She retrieves David's body from an alien transporter, recovers the cross David stole from her, and together they travel using another transporter. Shaw and the rest of her robot David head to heaven, home of the engineers, to find out why they created mankind and why they wanted to create mankind. Trying to destroy mankind. In the final shot, at Vickers' research unit, an alien animal, a rarity, comparable to the xenomorph seen in the other Outsider films, 1979, bursts out of a bitten chest. Engineer.